Today, we are going to unpack one of the most powerful and most controversial events in all of modern history, the use of atomic bombs in World War II. We're going to see how a top-secret science project created a weapon that not only ended a global war, but completely changed the world forever. Everything really comes to a head on this one day, over this one city in Japan. A single moment in time that would define the end of the largest, deadliest war the world had ever seen.
And the result? Well, it was a level of destruction humanity had never, ever witnessed before. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of people were just gone. That number is almost impossible to wrap your head around. And believe it or not, that's only where the story begins.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really get a grip on how and why this all happened, we need to look at the whole picture. We'll start with the state of the war. Then we'll uncover the secret project that built the bomb. We'll witness the devastating events themselves, look at the immediate aftermath, and finally, see how it kicked off the nuclear age.
So let's set the scene. It's the summer of 1945. The war in Europe is finally over. Nazi Germany has been defeated. All of the Allies' attention now turns to the Pacific. But the fight against Japan was just getting more and more brutal. So why was this war still going on?
Well, Japan was in a really desperate spot. Its military was pretty much crippled, and its cities were already being hammered by conventional bombs. But here's the thing. Despite all of this, the Japanese government flat out refused to surrender. They had a powerful military culture of fighting to the last man, and they were getting the entire population, civilians included, ready to resist an invasion.
This left the United States and its leaders with a truly terrible dilemma. On the one hand, they could launch a massive invasion of Japan. But every military planner was saying it would be an absolute bloodbath, costing a staggering number of American lives, and probably millions of Japanese lives too. The only other option was to find another way, some way to force a surrender, without that catastrophic ground war.
And that other way, well, it had been cooking in secret for years, completely hidden from the public and even from most of the government. It was a secret weapon with power that was almost impossible to imagine.
This was the Manhattan Project. I mean, we're talking about one of the most incredible secrets of the entire war. The US brought together some of the most brilliant scientists in the world, guys like J. Robert Oppenheimer, for one single mind-blowing purpose: to build a brand new kind of weapon by unlocking the power hidden inside the atom itself.
So, what even is an atomic bomb? It sounds like something from science fiction, right? Well, in the simplest terms, it works by splitting atoms, the tiny little building blocks of everything. And when you do that, it unleashes a tremendous amount of energy all at once. It creates this giant explosion, heat that's literally hotter than the sun, and an invisible, deadly force called radiation.
The decision to actually use this new weapon landed on the shoulders of President Harry S. Truman, and it was a heavy one. His own advisors were split on what to do, but he was basically trying to balance three huge factors. First, and most importantly, end the world's deadliest war as fast as possible. Second, avoid that catastrophic invasion of Japan. And third, show the world, and especially their shaky ally, the Soviet Union, the incredible new power America now had.
And with that decision made, the world was about to see the power of the atom unleashed not just once, but twice.
The first target was Hiroshima. It was an important industrial and military city, and it hadn't been heavily bombed before. At 8:15 in the morning on August 6th, an American B-29 bomber dropped the bomb, which had the nickname Little Boy.
The bomb exploded just above the city's center to cause the most damage possible. In a split second, the heart of the city was just vaporized. A massive firestorm started to rage, and the human cost was immediate and absolutely devastating.
After the horror of Hiroshima, you'd think the war would be over. But Allied leaders waited and heard nothing. No word of surrender from Japan's government. And so, 3 days later, a second mission was launched. This time, the target was the city of Nagasaki, and they used a different, more powerful bomb design nicknamed Fat Man.
What's really wild is just how fast everything happened after that second bomb. You can see it here. 2 atomic bombs, plus the Soviet Union also declaring war on Japan at the same time. It was just too much. Japan's leaders were finally forced to accept defeat. On August 15th, the emperor announced the surrender, and on September 2nd, the final papers were signed. World War II was finally over.
So the war had ended, which everyone wanted. But for the people on the ground in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the horror was really just beginning. The effects of these weapons were far beyond anything the world had ever seen.
The immediate impact was just total devastation. We're talking about buildings turned to dust. The incredible heat caused terrible burns, and the shockwaves sent debris flying like shrapnel. But on top of all that, there is a new, invisible killer: radiation sickness.
And this is what makes nuclear weapons so uniquely terrifying. People who actually survived the blast and the fires could still die weeks, even months later from this mysterious illness. It was the bomb's radiation, and it was damaging their bodies from the inside out.
And the effects didn't stop there, not by a long shot. For decades, the survivors, who are known in Japan as the hibakusha, faced higher rates of cancer and saw birth defects in their children. They also had to live with deep psychological trauma and, sadly, were sometimes even discriminated against by others who were afraid their illness was contagious. It just goes to show how the bombs left social wounds on top of the physical ones.
All right, for our last part, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Because these two bombs didn't just end a war. They started a brand new, and much more dangerous, chapter in human history.
This is the key takeaway, right here. As of today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are the first and only times that nuclear weapons have ever been used in a war. That fact alone makes this event one of the most important in all of history.
So why does this matter so much? Well, it did more than just bring the Second World War to a screeching halt. It officially kicked off the nuclear age. All of a sudden, humanity had a weapon that could destroy entire civilizations. This new, terrifying power balance completely changed the game and ratcheted up the tension between the USA and the Soviet Union, setting the stage for the long standoff we now call the Cold War.
And all of that leaves us with a really tough question, doesn't it? These bombs brought a brutal end to the world's deadliest war, and in doing so, they may have saved many lives that would have been lost in an invasion. But they also introduced a weapon that puts all of humanity at risk. Thinking about that paradox, that difficult, complicated balance is absolutely key to understanding the legacy of 1945 and what it all means for us right here today.